Можно ли назвать бой с Гэри такой второй частью ирландско-дагестанского противостояния?
Как говорится, с Алиэкспресса, да?
Ian Garry just peppering him up at range, dude. Stance switching. Oh my god, Makhachev's torn his ACL. Ian Garry stomps Makhachev's leg in round 1. Makhachev didn't react too well to that. I'm just sensing something in the air, dude.
Because Gary's defense is fucking legit. Like,
yeah.
I like this fight. I like what it means. I like a champion defending. It's the rightful #1 contender. Like, that's the fight game too, and there's a lot of reason to believe that Garry can give him a really good scrap.
Ian Machado Garry is ready for his biggest test and wants to pull up another upset in the UFC by beating the unstoppable Makhachev. Garry is training in Georgia to sharpen his wrestling, aiming to boost his title chances by improving key skills. However, Islam Makhachev dismisses the hype and idea, arguing that a few months is not enough time to develop elite-level wrestling needed to compete at the top.
Слушай, а Гэри зачем-то в Грузию полетел, но он, может, не очень разбирается, что это не одно и то же полететь в Грузию или полететь в Дагестан, как бы, я не знаю, может, он тебя искать полетел. А как ты думаешь, зачем он вообще туда полетел?
Ну, я уже как-то говорил, что это является ошибкой для бойцов ездить на какие-то сборы за 2-3 месяца до боя, чтобы потянуть борьбу. Это, наоборот, играет злую такую ошибку, потому что человек едет на 2-3 месяца куда-то подготовиться и начинает верить в свою борьбу, и вот это потом не срабатывает. За 2-3 месяца невозможно научиться бороться, это то, что ты должен делать с самого детства многие-многие годы.
Если сравнивать вот Мадалену и Гэри именно по уровню ММА, вот кого бы ты поставил выше все-таки?
Ну, они оба ударника, я поставил Мадалену выше.
However, MMA Guru questions whether Ian Machado Garry has the right game plan to deal with Islam Makhachev, pointing out the size gap may be smaller than expected. He believes Makhachev could be close in weight in this division, which reduces the physical advantage. He suggests Makhachev could still struggle to control Garry due to his athletic build and strong resistance.
Does Ian Garry have the game planning necessary to get this one done? He's not going to be much bigger than Islam Makhachev. I've already seen people putting out the weights and saying that Makhachev's actually going to be weighing in a little bit more than Ian Garry for this division. It hurts me to say this, but is Islam Makhachev's win over JDM as impressive as we once thought? You know, to not come close to submitting him, to never really be able to beat him up on the ground, is he just going to go out there and submit Ian Garry? Way bigger than him, way taller than him, not bigger than him, but frame-wise. That's a tougher man to hold down. Ian Garry's very athletic. Yes, Shavkat Rakhmonov got him down in the fight, but Shavkat pre-ACL tear, listen, Shavkat pre-ACL tear was quite a formidable foe. All right?
Expanding further, MMA Guru predicts Ian Machado Garry overwhelms Islam Makhachev at range with sharp striking and constant movement. He expects Garry to control distance, mix stance switches, and even damage Makhachev's leg early in the fight. He also argues that past struggles in Makhachev's career show signs of weakness, leading him to believe Garry has a strong chance to take over and win.
Which underdogs am I liking? And I was liking Ian Garry against Islam Makhachev. I've been saying it in my streams. I've been seeing it in my dreams. Ian Garry just peppering him up at range, dude. Stance switching. Oh my god, Makhachev's torn his ACL. Ian Garry stomps Makhachev's leg in round 1. Makhachev didn't react too well to that. I'm just sensing something in the air, dude. But here's the thing, and this is the ultimate curse of being an dude, Poirier had this guy on the ropes and Ian Garry ain't beating him. Just how bad is JDM? My glorious JDM, dude. We're gonna come back and we're gonna make it to the belt again. I know it. We were injured in that fight. We were ready to move up to middleweight. We had a bad weight cut, obviously. But let me tell you, dude, Ian Garry's got this one in the bag. I'm sensing it. But am I going to fall into the curse of all of these upsets happening?
Shifting into stylistic breakdowns, Sean Brady sees a clear grappling advantage for Makhachev, predicting that he would overwhelm Ian Machado Garry on the ground and potentially secure a submission finish due to the difference in wrestling control and pressure.
You mentioned earlier you think there's a bit of a logjam at 170, and it sounds like you think Ian should get the Islam fight. Do you think?
Yeah.
Do you think he can beat him?
No. And I know people are going to say, like, I'm a hater of Ian.
No,
blah,
it's
blah, blah,
your opinion.
I just don't think that his style, like, I think Islam will get him down, and I think Islam will probably submit him. Like, if you look where Shavkat had Ian, if you look where MVP had Ian in like a weird grappling spot, he's able, like, people can get to him, and if someone like Islam gets to him, which I think he would, it would be a long night for Ian. But
extending that same view, Sean Brady again emphasizes that Makhachev's grappling dominance would likely be too much for Garry to handle, suggesting a submission finish becomes increasingly likely once the fight hits the mat.
Again, Ian's very tricky, and I knew that when I was trying to fight him, and hopefully I still get to fight him. He's very long, rangy. He knows how to keep his distance well. He knows how to skirt along the octagon and keep you away from him. So, yeah, I think it'll be a very interesting fight, but ultimately I think Islam will get him down and sub him. I'm waiting for them to announce it. You know, it's like, what else is there? It's either him or Morales. And I heard Islam might be hurt, but if he's hurt, then do Ian and Morales, because that would be. I know Morales already said that he wants to fight Ian, so that'd be a really interesting fight.
Islam Makhachev's dominance continues to build historical weight as he matches Anderson Silva's UFC win streak record, drawing praise from Silva himself, who applauds Islam's consistency and hopes the momentum continues as records continue to fall.
Islam Makhachev tied your record for 16 straight UFC wins. That was a record I thought no one was ever going to break, going 16 in a row in the UFC.
Everything is possible. I'm happy because somebody broke this record, and the new generation, in the future, the people go broken this record again, again. This is good challenge for everybody when it come, Yeah. But I don't think the people think about, oh, I go broke this record. I think the people doing your job, and when you see oh my God, really? Yes, you broke the record. Oh, okay, great.
I know for Islam, it was a very big deal. Every interview he got asked Anderson Silva's record. So it was a big one for him to do. Winning 16 UFC fights in a row, it's almost impossible to not have like an injury or a bad decision or something weird with the referee, right? So it's very challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in MMA, it's very hard.
That success, according to Islam, is rooted in strict discipline shaped by Khabib Nurmagomedov's system, where he avoids distractions entirely and maintains a focused lifestyle built around training, recovery, and competition at the highest level.
How many young kids looking for the Khabib, looking for our team, and we never go party, we never go somewhere, we never smoke, drink, do some bad things, and that's why we have big support in our country. And I also try to show like MMA fighter, try to show like real Muslims, who is not smoking, not do this all bad things.
Transitioning to promotional and narrative framing, Oscar Willis views the matchup as a fairly standard title defense for Islam Makhachev as he moves deeper into his welterweight run, while still acknowledging Ian Machado Garry as a credible and dangerous opponent. He adds that Garry has the tools to make the fight competitive, even if the expectation leans toward Islam handling business. He also expects the build-up to lean heavily into the Ireland versus Dagestan storyline during major fight week promotion.
I'm not trying to disrespect Ian here when I say this, but the booking of this is almost like, oh, okay, a tough but routine title fight for Islam Makhachev's new reign, right? That's kind of the vibe that's going here. I actually give Ian a really good chance of being a very, very competitive fight, but it feels like this is Islam working his way through his next division, And I think it's appropriate at this time. I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine they do a press conference on Conor Fight Week with Ian and Islam. I suspect the Irish Dagestani thing will come up pretty heavily because it's on that week.
Oh,
and I
shit,
think
right.
Continuing that angle, Oscar Willis questions Ian Machado Garry's outspoken approach, saying some of his comments don't always land, but still finds the matchup interesting due to the potential personality clash with Islam Makhachev. He expects Garry's tendency to provoke opponents could quickly create tension, making the build-up more heated and engaging.
there's a lot of shit that doesn't make sense. So I'm actually curious to see how Islam and Ian play off each other. And I think it'll actually be quite an interesting dynamic. And I imagine because Ian loves to poke the bear, he loves to promote the fight and stuff like that, I could see that getting quite heated quite quickly. And at that point, we're all in on the fight. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's probably the right move for the UFC. And I think especially with the Conor.
Shifting into a more analytical perspective, Luke Thomas described the matchup as a key moment in Islam Makhachev's welterweight run, but one that carries more pressure and opportunity for Ian Machado Garry. He noted that Islam is a highly studied fighter with extensive footage available, which gives opponents a clearer idea of what to prepare for. Still, he emphasized MMA's unpredictability and suggested Garry could make the fight more competitive than many expect, even if Islam remains the safer pick.
Huge night for Islam too, but it can't possibly mean the same to him as it does for a guy like Ian Garry. And there's a lot of tape on Islam, and like I've just seen so many times where it's like, oh, this guy that no one thinks has a shot. I'm picking Islam to be clear, but that MMA is full of. There's just something different about being a champion, defending against legit number one contenders, which Garry, whatever else you want to say about him, absolutely is that at welterweight. Having much more difficulty with that than some of these other big stakes fights that we think are going to trip him up. I thought Jack Della Maddalena would have given him a tough fight, and it just wasn't that way at all. I guarantee you Garry gives.
Bringing a more balanced view, Nick Barnhill supports Ian Machado Garry as a legitimate contender for Islam Makhachev, pointing to his steady rise and strong decision-making throughout his UFC run. He believes Garry's discipline, range control, and tactical awareness could create real problems for Makhachev, even though Islam remains the most complete fighter in the division. He also adds that the stylistic clash brings extra attention due to the Ireland versus Dagestan storyline.
Garry, Ian is the right guy to get in there versus Islam. I think that, he's done enough. He has a head-to-head win over Carlos Prates, who in my mind is one step above Michael Morales, just as far as strength of schedule goes. But Ian Garry, aside from the Shavkat fight, has looked perfect, and he hasn't had an easy road to get to the top of the division. So this fight not only reminds me of Conor versus Khabib for the geographical, location of where both of these people come from. I think there is a real beef and a feud between Ireland and Dagestan as far as MMA is concerned. And this one is definitely an interesting fight because we know Islam's the most complete fighter in the UFC, but Ian Garry's game planning and fight IQ takes him up a notch as far as difficulty to beat. He's got a frame that's very hard to close distance on, and not only that, his ability to maintain range is really good. He stays behind a jab.
Continuing the broader discussion, Nick Barnhill suggests Islam Makhachev's legacy would take a major leap if he dominates Ian Machado Garry in the same fashion as his previous welterweight performances. He explains that a string of wins over top contenders like Garry, Carlos Prates, and Michael Morales could push Islam firmly into the GOAT conversation.
Where does this put Islam to you on the GOAT list if he does go out there and do to Ian what he did to Jack Della Maddalena? Would he be number one? Would he be creeping into top 5, 2, 3?
Islam Makhachev can absolutely become the GOAT of the sport with 3 wins at welterweight. If he can beat Ian, after the Jack Della Maddalena one, of course, if he can beat Ian Garry, Carlos Prates, and Michael Morales, I say we can kind of put the GOAT discussion away for a little while. Now, John Jones is still sitting in a pretty spot, especially after what happened in the co-main.
Expanding the legacy angle further, Nick Barnhill highlights that welterweight is currently the most competitive division in the UFC, and sustained success there could push Islam Makhachev into all-time great conversations if he continues to stack wins.
Now we're talking about 170 being the most stacked division in the UFC right now. I mean, off the top of my head, Islam Makhachev, Ian Garry, Carlos Prates, Michael Morales, Gabriel Bonfim looked really good the other day.
Yeah.
Euros Medic is back in action soon. Sean Brady, all these people look so good. This division is so stacked. The entire top 10 is just murderer's row. And Islam Makhachev has a real chance to take that GOAT status and run with it, at least for the time being. But here's my one caveat that I think could throw a wrench into things. Does Islam Makhachev consider going for triple champ status. Just say Islam does win a couple more at 170 and decides to go up, he would be the next guy in line to go for triple champ status. Now one singular win at 185 would make Islam the GOAT.
Transitioning into title implications, John Anik states that Ian Machado Garry was the leading candidate for the next welterweight title shot against Islam Makhachev, identifying him as the most deserving option based on current divisional positioning.
Based upon the body of work for Machado Garry, his willingness to step up all the time, even in the protest main event in Kansas City, I just feel like Makhachev versus Machado Garry is the fight. And I think it's a fascinating stylistic matchup as well. I think Morales eventually is going to get there. Looks like an absolute world beater. But depending on what sort of their internal methodology is, I think Machado Garry is going to be the guy, and I think he's the most deserving.
Meanwhile, Dan Hardy explains that Islam Makhachev's approach is rooted in a highly specialized wrestling system that is extremely difficult to replicate in standard training camps, making it a major problem for striking-focused fighters like Ian Machado Garry.
Makhachev versus Ian Machado Garry, what do you make of that matchup?
That's a great fight. Look, it's a great fight. Ian Garry for a long time has been saying that, you know, he is the future. Obviously, it's his nickname. Like, he sees himself as being there with the belt. He's visualized it, but now he's got Makhachev in the division. And I mean, Makhachev's got the kryptonite for every single person in the division. No matter where the fight goes, he's got the skills to challenge you and to cause you issues. Like, of course, since Ian Garry's, you know, been spending time in Brazil, been working on his jiu-jitsu, he's going to be far more confident in his ground game.
Continuing that breakdown, Hardy further emphasizes that Islam comes from a wrestling culture that consistently produces elite-level grapplers, placing him at the very top of a system built for control, pressure, and positional dominance. He warns that fighters like Ian Machado Garry cannot afford a slow or measured start, as failing to create early damage could lead to being steadily overwhelmed through sustained grappling pressure across the round.
I'm like, I don't know if you can be able to replicate what Islam Makhachev can do to you. I think you would have to be in the wrestling room in Dagestan to really feel that kind of pressure. And what you got to remember is, like, that room right now, we keep signing a bunch of guys from Khabib's team. They're all like cookie cutter versions of each other. They're all lethal. They've all got great wrestling. They've all got that pressure style with good punching and kicking now. You know what I mean? Like, there's a really elite level in that gym. And Makhachev's at the top of that pile. Like, everybody in that gym is working towards where he is, and everybody in that gym's a killer. Like, I just don't know if you're going to be able to find the same kind of look that you're going to need to be able to deal with Makhachev. And I think now he's moved up to welterweight. I just think he looks physically so much healthier and stronger. You know, Ian Garry's a slick striker, but he needs to damage Makhachev. He can't play the 25 minutes of picking and poking, because Makhachev will get to him.
Adding another analytical angle, an MMA analyst argues that Ian Machado Garry versus Islam Makhachev is a dangerous fight for the welterweight champion and his legacy. He believes Garry is being underestimated despite recent major upsets in MMA. He notes most still favor Makhachev on paper, but disagrees with the certainty. He adds that a loss would end the recent run of Caucasus champions, raising the stakes even higher.
This is a very, very tricky fight for the welterweight champion Islam Makhachev, and I'm going to break down both sides of this fight, especially why this fight is actually very dangerous for Islam, especially in terms of his legacy, and on top of that, the upsets that we've had. I mean, Strickland beat Hamzat, Gaethje beat Topuria, McGregor's going to beat Holloway, Gary's going to beat fucking Islam Makhachev, okay? So I think that most people still think that on paper Islam Makhachev is the right pick to make in this fight, but I'm going to give you a verdict that's probably going to make you a little bit mad, because I think that the Dagestani fans are clinging on to dear life with Islam Makhachev, because I think we had 5 Caucasus region champions in December. Islam, Hamzat, Topuria, Merab, and Ankalaev, and now they're down to 1, just Islam Makhachev. And so the glazing Khabib fans very well might be losing their last champion.
Ian Machado Garry and Islam Makhachev both prefer a cautious approach and avoid taking big risks. Garry is viewed as a very complete fighter with strong overall skills, though not stronger in wrestling. He is comfortable winning in a controlled, low-risk way instead of chasing finishes. That style limits openings and makes it harder for opponents like Makhachev to create fight-ending opportunities.
You consider both of these guys, neither of them is going to take a crazy risk to get a finish. which for somebody like a Moicano or even a JDM who's pretty outmatched against Islam, they have to get desperate for finishes because they're just so easily going to get outpointed, like JDM was just ran through 50-45. Ian Garry is skill for skill better than Islam, in my opinion, actually. Maybe not in wrestling, but as an overall complete MMA fighter, he's also very okay with winning a boring fight, meaning he's not going to take dumb risks to where Islam Makhachev can get his back, snatch up the Darce choke, in my opinion.
That wraps up today's breakdown, as all attention now turns to how this fight actually plays out inside the cage. With Islam Makhachev's pressure and grappling set against Ian Machado Garry's range and movement, the anticipation builds around who manages to impose their style when it matters most on fight night. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future fight updates and breakdowns.